Go. We gotta go.
A few moments later.
Raleigh police have obtained a secure custody order for a 14-year-old juvenile suspect who is also a student here. I just got off the phone with District Attorney Lauren Freeman, who said a juvenile secure custody hearing is taking place today as the teen is accused of murder, and it is her intention, she anticipates, to transfer this case to Superior Court to try that 14-year-old as an adult. Now, last night, WRAL spoke with Sherelle McLaughlin. She is the mother of the student seen in those videos swinging a knife. She tells WRAL News her son was acting in self-defense and claimed he was simply concerned about his safety here at the school. Once again, Southeast Raleigh Magnet High School closed.
All right, guys, so we got to talk about an extremely sad story out of Raleigh, North Carolina, involving some students who happened to get in a fight at Southeast Raleigh High School, and it ended up turning deadly after a 14-year-old student ended up stabbing a 15-year-old student to death in a double stabbing that happened at the school. Now, I want to talk about this because, again, topics like this are another example of why we have a parenting crisis in this country, which is leading to the young scholar problem that we have when we have these kids that are engaging in these types of activities, whether that be, stabbing and killing their fellow students or being criminals, okay? And, carjacking people and doing all types of crazy stuff. We're seeing this happen all over the country, okay? And this story right here, again, is just another example of that. So I want to go ahead and talk about it. Before we get into it, I gotta give you guys a disclaimer. I am going to try my best to keep this video YouTube friendly, of course. So you're not going to see any violence. And the news clip also as well, too, is going to go out of their way to try to make sure you don't see any violence as well, too. But you can get the gist of what happened from watching the clip. Take a look.
And breaking news in the last 15 minutes, school officials announced Southeast Raleigh High School will be closed tomorrow. This comes after a deadly stabbing of a student at the school today. Thank you for joining us. I'm Deborah Morgan.
And I'm Gerald Owens. Sky 5 flew over the school this afternoon. Officials tell us it happened during a fight in the gymnasium. Now a student is dead. Another has non-life-threatening injuries. A third student is in custody.
WRAL is bringing you team coverage tonight. Matt Tallhelm is at the Walnut Creek Amphitheater, where parents are picking up their students. Let's go ahead and start with Mark Boyle in the WRAL Live Center. Mark, we're getting now a better look at the moments just before the stabbing.
This is clear video. It's a different vantage point. Another student had their phone out recording. We're going to play this and then pause it right before this first initial stabbing. You'll see right here, watch the student right there in the red hoodie. And then you'll see another student right there punch. We're going to pause it. Then he comes around with his hand. And then this next clip is going to be inside the gymnasium. All of those students there rush inside. Take a look at this. The melee there continues inside. And then another interaction. The fight continues. And that's, again, where the stabbing continues. We hit pause on the video right there because you can clearly see what is unfolding. At the top of the newscast, you mentioned a statement from the school. Now this is part of it on your screen. It reads in part, both victims were transported to the hospital. One of the students passed away. The second victim remains hospitalized with non-life-threatening injuries. It goes on to say, to provide us the time and space to process today's events, school will be closed tomorrow at Southeast Raleigh High School. Also new here at 5 o'clock, Josh Stein, Attorney General, saying on social media, I'm praying for the Southeast Raleigh High School community, especially for the loved ones of the student who was killed. It's tragic and devastating. Updates here in the Live Center as we get them on this developing story here tonight. Back to you.
All right, Mark, thank you.
So sad. First day back after a holiday vacation or holiday weekend. Let's go down to Matt Tallhelm. He's at the pickup spot for Southeast Raleigh families, Walnut Creek Amphitheater. Matt, the superintendent called this situation disturbing. No doubt parents feel the same way.
Yeah, Gerald, disturbing, discouraging, terrible. Those are just some of the words that parents used to describe what happened on campus about a mile down the road here. But just in the last 30 minutes, the final police officer left here at Walnut Creek. There were police and security everywhere here because this was a reunification point, a place where parents could come, they could park here and reunite with their students. Dozens of parents rushed here to reunite with their students after these stabbings.
There's little a parent can do but wait when their child's school is in lockdown.
They've been stuck in the cafeteria for the last few hours.
Robin Sinford's child shared this photo with her from inside Southeast Raleigh Magnet High School.
My kid's never not done lockdown practice and active shooter drills. It's awful.
Mom rushed toward the campus after hearing about the fight and stabbing. It was only hours after dropping her child off at the school.
We had a nice talk on the ride to school this morning, and all I could think driving back here is like, what if that's the last time I talk to my kid?
Sinford waited with dozens of parents parked in their cars in this lot at Walnut Creek Amphitheater until buses rolled in around 2:30 to reunite them with their students. Dozens of other parents lined the neighborhood streets across from the school.
I wanted to be around. I couldn't sit down nowhere.
Dwayne Funderburk's daughter is a freshman, just starting her first year at Southeast Raleigh.
She's stressed out. She's about ready to leave the school. And I can get her frustration because this is not normal.
Funderburk says he's not sure he'll send his daughter back to class here. He wants the school system to step up security.
They need to do something about metal detectors. There's no reason why these kids got knives or guns, and I know they got guns. There's no reason. You shouldn't be able to get through the front door.
The new superintendent of Wake County Public Schools says they will review all the safety and security protocols to figure out what happened and what can be done to prevent future violence.
I pledge my resolve. Schools should be a safe haven for our students and staff. What happened here today is unacceptable.
And the superintendent there also saying that they will review all of these safety and security protocols and work to come up with any solutions that could prevent future violence here. Now, as for students, as you mentioned in the last 15 minutes, the schools announced the school here will be closed tomorrow. Students, if you have any concerns, parents, you should call the front office at the school tomorrow, and they will get you the help that your students need.
All right, so you seen that, you heard that. Now, my condolences go out to the family of the victim that was stabbed to death. Again, it is a tragic situation when you have a young, 15-year-old, 16, 14-year-old individual lose their life, especially in a senseless act of violence that we tend to see all too often in this country among young people. And again, I'm extremely passionate about this issue and the fact that this is happening in our country, and this is why I continue to talk about these types of stories, because they do not get enough attention. We're not talking enough about the problem that we have in our country with violent teenagers, okay? This is happening in a ton of these cities around the country where you have these teenagers who engage in these violent acts. Now, when it comes to this incident right here, I'm not entirely sure exactly why this fight started or what this fight was over, but I can't imagine that it was over anything that was worth taking another student's life. And the fact that a student would bring a knife to school and actually use it to stab another student to death says a lot about how that student was raised at home. Clearly, their home training was not good. Clearly, their parents are not paying enough attention to their child in the sense that they shouldn't be letting their child go to school with a knife in the first place. And they probably have issues, right? They may be a part of some type of gang. They may be engaged in violent or illegal activities at the home. Who knows, right? But that type of behavior showing up in school, it shows up because, again, this is the type of behavior that they see or that is endorsed or, is not corrected in the home. It's really that simple. A lot of the issues that we have in school start with the home, start with the parents. And when parents are not raising their children properly, these are the types of stories that you get. But also the school takes blame for this, because I don't understand why in the world in 2023 you don't have metal detectors, right? This is something that I think is a basic safety precaution that all schools should have, is metal detectors, right? Kids should be required to go through a metal detector when they go into school. Now, again, it's sad that we live in a society where kids have to do that. But again, when you have in high school where you have parents that are clearly stating that, hey, I don't feel safe sending my kid to this school for various reasons, and I'm pretty sure these parents felt that way before this incident happened, that tells you everything you need to know about the types of students, any types of neighborhoods that these kids are growing up in and going to the school, right? Where, again, parents aren't surprised that kids have guns and knives and weapons and stuff and are taking it into school and using these things against other students. Tells you everything you need to know about how you should have had measures in place in the first place in order to prevent this from happening. I don't understand why this school did not have metal detectors. I don't understand why all of these students are not checked to make sure that they're not armed before going into school. Again, sad state that we live in where you have to do that, where you have to worry about a 14-year-old, 15-year-old, 16-year-old pull out a knife and stabbing somebody, or even worse, bring in a firearm to school and using it against their fellow student. But that is the world that we live in. So therefore, we have to take these types of precautions. And it is a massive failure on the school that, did not take that precaution. Now, with that being said, the child that stabbed the other child, apparently they're going to try him as an adult, right? Which I agree with 100%. If these kids want to engage in adult activities, then they should face adult consequences, okay? I mean, I don't know what you do about a 14, 15, 16-year-old that is willing to stab people to death, including his own fellow student. I'm not sure what you do about it. I'm not sure how you rehab that. I'm not sure how you rehabilitate that. I'm not sure how you do that. The only thing I know is that, hey, you got to lock them up and you got to throw away the key for a long, long, long time. It's not something that I want to see, but at the end of the day, if you really want to clean up, society and to prevent violence and to crack down on crime, you have to get the bad apples off the streets. That's just the reality of the situation. It's not the perfect solution, but there are really no solutions in life, only trade-offs. And I would much rather deal with a trade-off of having safe schools where, you will have some kids, hey, they're going to have to spend a long, long, long time behind bars, but the schools are safe. I'd much rather have that than to go easy on these kids and say, oh, well, no, we're not going to really punish you. We're going to give you a slap on the wrist, okay? And then they continue to commit these acts of violence, and you're putting other students who aren't criminals, who aren't violent, who, aren't prone to doing something like this at risk, okay? It's really that simple, right? It's really that simple. When you see stuff like this, you got to make an example out of this situation and say, if you engage in this type of activity, this is what's going to happen, right? You're not going to get a slap on the wrist. Okay, we're not going to go easy on you just because, you're a child. If you want to engage in adult behaviors and you want to commit adult crimes, then you're going to face adult consequences. It's really that simple. So with that being said, again, my thoughts and prayers, my condolences go out to the family of the victim. And again, I hope and pray that our country, gets to a better place where we don't see stuff like this happen as often. But I think as long as we continue to be soft on crime, as long as we continue to have this parenting problem in our country, you're going to continue, unfortunately, to have stories like this, and it is extremely unfortunate. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.